I'll call the April 12th, 2016 Board of Supervisors meeting to order. We do have a quorum. We have Jack Rutherford here to do our invocation. You come on up and everybody stand and remain standing for our pledge.
Let us pray. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, send down upon those who hold office in Wythe County the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose we may faithfully serve in the office elected to promote the well-being of all people. Let all who speak this evening do so civilly. If we disagree with one another, let us do so with respect for one another. I ask this in the name of my Savior and Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to welcome everyone this evening, and glad to see you come out to the board meeting. We'll move right along with our agenda. Public hearing. The Wythe County Board of Supervisors will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, April the 12th, 2016 at 7:05 p.m. to hear public comment on declaring properties in Progress Park and on Chapman Road surplus. The hearing will take place in the boardroom of the Wythe County Administration Building, 340 South 6th Street, Wytheville, Virginia. And we're here to hear public comment on declaring the property surplus. Anyone, I know we didn't have a sign-up sheet for this, but anyone like to speak on the public hearing? Hearing none, I'll close. What you want to you want to explain?
Which properties are surplus?
Well, actually, the word surplus is a misnomer. The Code of Virginia that you have right tells us how the language we must use. But we have property in Progress Park along Chapman Road that we recently purchased that while it's not intended to be surplus, we do have people looking at that. It takes on an annual basis the board to have a public hearing to be able to sell and convey that property and allow the citizens to come forth and speak whether they believe that's a good use of the selling property or disposing. The Chapman Road property, we've been working on a master plan that basically shows 3 or maybe 4 lots that could be used, but it's not part of the exposition center property that could help us recover the purchase price. After tonight, part of this discussion, the board will set a price for that property. In Progress Park, for us to transfer, we have ongoing projects that are unannounced, but for us to transfer some of that property to the JIDA and industries, we have to have this required public hearing on an annual basis. So we do have prospects out there, shown property, and if everything goes well, we may transfer that to prospective industries.
Now, hear an explanation of the surplus property. Would anybody like to speak? Hear none, I'll close the public hearing and move on into the agenda with citizens' time. We have Larry Edwards.
Thank you.
If you would, Mr. Edwards, state your name and your address, please.
I'm Larry Edwards. My address is 7526 Carrollton Pike, Galax, Virginia. That's where I maintain my office. I guess Wytheville and Wythe County is kind of my adopted home. I do own a home here in Wytheville, although I don't reside in it. We are current, G&E Enterprises bought the old Pure Country building on at 4909 Fort Chiswell Road. There at exit 24. Of course, we've done a number of projects through Valley Properties and some of the other. But our intent there is to build a spec building to be used as a convenience store with 2 rental buildings. We do not have tenants at this point in time, and depending on the ability, what a fuel company goes into that, each fuel company requires certain standards, and in order for them to give you compensation, you must do according to their standards. Otherwise, they're not going to allow you to use their trademark. On one other piece that we had done prior to that, when we changed the use, although the building had never been placed into service, we paid a second full fee. In talking with Mr. Spraker, he said that we could look at designate this building as storage. Of course, we know it's not going to be storage since there's already an existing canopy. There's fuel tanks in the ground. They're certified by DEQ. We do not have an interior upfit and will not until a tenant signs a lease in order to do that. So we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. We are currently doing and have done buildings in other localities. It hasn't been an issue. But in looking at the inspections, there would be no additional inspections and no additional expense to the county, in my opinion. So we wanted to bring that to your attention. Throughout my 40 years of development, at some point, as long as you have a conducive environment to build, you want to continue to do so. And my first project was over here on 94 with an apartment complex. But when you get a environment in which it's not conducive, then you're going to find an environment that is conducive and go to build at that locality. Mr. Melton is a 50% owner of G&E. We operate under G&E Enterprises, Valley Properties, Melton Associates, RGM Properties. And Mr. Melton has been hired as the contractor to build that building. And I guess basically, and you can read the letter, but the issue that I would take is why would we need to pay a second full fee in order to just complete something that if we had a tenant or if we were going beyond that. So I would like for you to address that. When you start a project and you got thousands upon thousands of dollars in it before you ever turn the first shovel of dirt, it does matter, especially as you get into larger projects. This project will be a few $100,000, but when you get into a multi-million-dollar project, certainly that matters. And we are currently negotiating on other projects that would take this into effect. Be happy to answer any questions you have, but I think it's important to bring that to your attention and let you address it. And whatever is the opinion of the county, then certainly we will take that and make our decisions from it. Be happy to answer any questions that anybody would have.
Okay, Mr. Edwards, we talked a little bit about this, me and Mr. Dalton did prior to that, and the board does set the rates. Mr. Dalton, can we send this to the Building and Grounds Committee to look at the rates and come back with the board with a recommendation?
Well, that requires waiting until the first week. You have a finance board meeting, budget meeting next week.
Okay.
So
That'd make
that
more
would
sense.
expedite it, give them the answer they need.
It
Okay.
would be appreciative. We purchased the property in October, demolished it. We've had some issues that we've had to work through. And we're a number of months here. I told Mr. Melton at one point in time to forget it. We wouldn't develop it. but it's back on. We've ordered the building. It should land in 2 weeks. So an expedited would help.
Okay, we'll send it to the budget committee, and we'll look at it next week, next Thursday.
Thanks for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next, Josh Stitt. If I said that right.
It's pretty close. Pretty close. I've heard worse. Chairman, members of the board, I think most of you know me. For those who don't, for the record, my name's Josh Stitt, Chief of Barron Springs Fire Department. I come before you today to present you titles to 3 trucks at the request of this board and according to Wythe County policy. We've requested that policy but not got that yet. I would like to request for future reference for our department a copy of any and all policies pertaining to Wythe County Fire Departments so that we'll have that for future references. I do this with a lot of hesitation. A lot of our members were very hesitant to sign these titles over. These trucks were purchased in a time when not necessarily the members on this board, but this board failed to act. We had a truck that was almost 35 years old, and we saved money for several years to purchase a new truck. And we've got probably $60,000 tied up in that truck now. So you can understand the hesitancy of my members. We just would like the board to consider in future what circumstances we might need to think about in replacing some of these trucks. One of these trucks now is a 1989. It's got 60,000 miles on it. The other one is the GMC Jimmy. It's got 218,000 miles on it right now. In fire services, our vehicles can mean the difference between life and death sometimes. And we don't want them to put any unnecessary risk on our firemen. By signing these titles to you, it's our understanding that that's your burden to replace these vehicles. And we just ask that you weigh that burden carefully in years to come and trust that you'll make the right decisions. And we just wanted to make sure that all the board members heard and understood our position on this.
Okay.
And I have the title signed with current mileage, and I'll turn those over to whomever I need to.
Martha.
Any questions or comments before I
Thank
do
you,
that?
Josh.
Yeah, is either one of those high mileage trucks a pumper or a firefighting unit?
The high mileage, the most high mileage is a Jimmy. It's a personnel carrier.
That you
We use
just
it for
received
training.
for free?
Yeah, it's sitting out here. The equipment truck is the 1989. It has 69,296 miles on it.
Josh, I'm not picking on you, but I believe in being fair.
I understand.
Neither one of those trucks have anything to do with fighting a fire.
Well, if you're stuck in a car and a truck with all of our extrication equipment on it won't roll out,
Okay.
that's unnecessary time for somebody to be stuck in a vehicle.
Does anybody else have any comments?
Josh, we understand. Like, I stop and talk to the guys all the time, LA, I go through
Right.
it 3 or 4 times. They have distinct pride in what they've done, how they feel about raising money,
Oh, yeah.
and I'd like to convey back is we appreciate the cooperation. We understand that it takes good equipment to fight good fires. Because it does you no good if you go into a fire and you broke down.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know most of you do, but, you know, I'm speaking for my members, and they want to make sure that everything is perfectly clear. And I want to do what their request, so.
I appreciate it,
All
Josh.
right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, next, Miss Annie B.
Well, mine's very short. I wanted to apologize to the board and to those that, when I did not show up to ask for the airport budget, I had an 11 o'clock doctor's appointment, and by the time they tested my brain and my back and my fingers, it was 4:15. And I just really wanted to come and apologize. I understand Brian came and made the budget, and if there were any questions at all, and I left the church to come over here, and I left all my things at the church, but I'll be glad to meet with anyone if you need me to at any time to talk about it later. But I just really want to make an apology to you for not coming, because it really wasn't intended, trust me. And wish it had not happened. I'm trying to paint a house now with one hand. So that's all I wanted.
I wish you had the film and cut your fingers off.
Well, this one came off. My neighbor found it across the sidewalk. But the other one, he found and these got crushed by a concrete pot. But I'm just going to quit trying to fall down steps now for a while. See if I can work it out better. Thank you all.
Well, thank
And
you.
I just sincerely will be glad to meet with anyone or answer any questions whenever you call me.
One of the
Thank
things we
you.
asked Brian to relay back to the
I'm
commission.
sorry, I don't have my hearing aid on tonight.
One of the things we asked Brian to convey back to the commission, that we wanted a joint meeting with Smith County, the
Okay.
same group in May.
Okay, that would be great. Sorry, I've just really gotten behind this month, but we'll catch up. Okay?
No problem.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Annie B.
Good luck. How are you? I'm already good.
Okay, that's everybody signed up. Is anybody else would like to speak during citizens' time? Hearing none, I'll close citizens' time. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of the previous meeting, March the 22nd, 2016. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion we approve minutes as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any corrections or changes need to be made to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye. Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
And I'll abstain. I wasn't here at that meeting. Next item on the agenda is payment of invoices. I entertain a motion to pay the invoices.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to pay the invoices. Any invoice any board member would like to pull out or discuss? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye. 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 Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Old business. Mr. Dalton, anything under old business?
No, sir.
Okay, moving on to new business. Recreation Commission. Mr. Williams has sent us a letter asking that for us to appoint 3 new members to the Recreation Commission. Got some, well, I guess everybody's read the letter. It says he's been trying to call a meeting and can't get a quorum together. Like for East Whiffle, Lead Mines, and the Speeble District. Gene, y'all can come up with somebody by the day meeting, hopefully, that we can appoint to the Recreation Commission.
Can I ask a question? I guess you probably need to ask him. I mean, obviously mine's on that list. Is he on that list because he's missed 3 meetings, or is he on that list because he's asked to be removed? Can he email me or something and let me know why he's on the list?
But he missed 3 consecutive.
Okay. That's all I need to know then.
Mr. Dalton, before we go into closed session, you want to take up,
I believe several items on your desk. You may add those to the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
May? The first item is declaring, and Sheriff has sent us an inventory of weapons, firearms that's no longer suitable for the needs. Is he wanting to auction these off, Mr. Dalton, or is he wanting to just sell them to a gun dealer?
He wants to sell them directly to this federally licensed gun dealer. Best prices.
Okay.
Guns ranging from Beretta revolvers to AR-15s.
I entertain a motion from the board to declare these surplus.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to declare this list of firearms as surplus. Dean, discussion.
Why not have an auction? Why is he wanting to sell them outright?
I don't know. I think we've done, have we done it both ways? Well, I think we have done it both ways in the past.
We've auctioned them off in the past. It seems that during the auctions, that he didn't get the price that he felt that he could negotiate with his firearms dealer.
You can put a reserve on them. I'd also like to comment that I guess this young man that got here is with the town. Why is there not any deputy here?
He is.
He is,
Mr. Doyle.
he is a deputy.
He
That's-
is a new deputy. He's in the Brown tonight.
Okay. It didn't look like it in the light, so.
Actually, he's got promoted. He was courtroom security
Yeah.
personnel. I've talked
Okay.
to him many, many times since he stopped me and checked me as getting into the circuit court building.
That was a good move. So you can put a reserve on those guns and still have an auction, can't you?
That's what the board deems. I don't know what the price of the used gun is.
Well, AR-15s are selling pretty high, aren't they, Charlie? And Colt, are they Colts or look-alike?
Well, you got to remember, you got the auctioneer's fee too to put in with that.
I've seen guns sell at auction more than you could go to the store and buy a new one for.
Just depends on if
Well,
you
is
get two
there an
people there that
offer?
want it, doesn't it?
Is there an offer or an estimate attached? I didn't see it from a dealer.
No.
So we're blanketly saying, sell it to a dealer. I don't know whether they're Colts or not from reading this letter.
The
Two other
Berettas,
Colts, and then
Well-
there's Springfields.
they're 20,
And there's several different kinds. If you get into 2, 3, 4, these are long rifle sporting models. Am I reading that right? Gun dealing is not a hobby. Gun dealers make a profit on everything they handle. Just a question.
I have a mo-
I kind of agree with you, Joe. I mean, here a while back, we had a surplus truck from Speedwell Fire Department. They had an offer on it. Instead of selling it outright to that department, we are going to list it on Gov Deals. I mean, what's the difference?
you want to amend your motion to declare them surplus and auction them at a set reserve?
Oh, well, I'm
each?
so, I thought, I apologize, I thought the only motion, I thought my motion was to declare them surplus.
Surplus.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I intended. What, the disposition of them, I don't,
I guess
Now-
we need to, if we want it done different, then we'll need to specify.
Okay. I'll, whatever the board would want, I mean, I can see it, working both ways and not working, both ways. I mean, right now, I know that, guns are a hot commodity. People are,
Restate Mr. Hausman's motion was just declare
Just
them
as-
surplus.
yes, that's what,
And I guess then the board will decide whether they're auctioned.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to declare them surplus property. Any more discussion? Hear none, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye.
Now the issue is,
Now the issue is either to sell them at auction or to a certified firearms dealer.
and I'm no firearms expert, I apologize, but there's plenty of books and minimums you can set out there. Mr. Hales probably knows more about that than I do. However y'all decide, we'll follow that direction.
Well, I'll entertain a motion.
But before a motion, can I ask about something that really, you all mentioned having a sale before. How did that work? I mean, I don't, I mean, if we have a sale, or I say the county has a sale, how does it work? You contract with a federal licensed firearm dealer? And
Yeah, there's a few auctioneers out there that have licensed to auction all these things. You know, you can do it either way. You can set a minimum and whatever the book value is. But if you auction off, then there's gonna be about an 8 or 10% auction fee. Plus, you can advertising is everything in the world. Gun auctions are a little bit different than land auctions.
well, okay. I'll wait.
I guess my concern is to the procedure. If we just say sell them to some dealer, what kind of negotiation goes on with that dealer? And is it a lump sum? This adds up a considerable amount of money. This is not pocket change. So I'm not into having auctions, but I think that looking out for what's best for his department, they have a lot better chance to get more money with either a set auction among dealers, put it out to bids where it comes back, instead of, I think the way this reads, you just pick a dealer and sell them to them. And I'm not in favor of that.
I agree with you on setting it out.
Be careful now.
For, to get bids or proposals from firearm dealers, because just going to a raw auction, the danger that I see, or one thing that we need to be aware of, I think, is that out of those first 23, 22 of them are the same gun, just different serial numbers. So if, does he sell them by lots? Does he sell them, by piece? If he sells them by piece, that first gun's going to set the, kind of set the price for, for all the rest of them. I like your idea of putting it out for proposals from, from firearm dealers. I mean, I guess if I was going to buy one and Steve bid $250 and he got the first one and the next gun is exactly like it, I'm not going to bid up more than $250.
Well, you're looking for a motion. I'm going to throw you a curve. I make a motion, we send it back to the sheriff, ask him to rethink this and come back with pros and cons of how to get rid of it.
Okay. Mr. Dalton, we don't have to take any action to do that, do we? I mean, we can direct you to send it back to the sheriff. And if it's at least 3 licensed firearm dealers propose bids on the weapons, or an auctioneer, a summary of what it would cost to.
Probably has more meaning after board votes on it, says that we want him to come back with a proposal.
Okay.
Because he's asked to declare them surplus. I think it's us to be in the right position.
Okay.
So Joe, your motion is just to have him look at it and come back with a proposal as to how to do it?
Yeah, and one of the recommendations that should be conveyed to him is come back and give us a little bit of knowledge that we can vote here. Like, what is the book value? A long sporting rifle doesn't give me a vision of what he's selling. It's hard for me to believe these guns are wore out. But I think it's, in his letter, he says it's a standards issue, which I'm in favor of, is that everybody carry the same sidearm. And evidently, that's not the case now. I wasn't aware of that. But
It looks like it.
you know,
They all look like the same.
Those descriptions of a sidearm are pretty uniform, but in the long rifles, there's considerable value in those long rifles. I feel confident that the sheriff's department hadn't beat them up in their junk. I would think that they're good shape. So all I'm asking is he tell us what they're worth and some other ideas about how to get rid of them as surplus.
To get the most money out of
Dollars
it.
out of them, yes, sir.
I'll second that. That may go down in history.
Hey, you think Barney's carried
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Next item is that's from the sheriff, numerous pieces of out-of-date and old leather holsters. And most of them were for the 9mm handguns. It's no longer in service.
Is these holsters that go with these guns here?
No, these Berettas are 40 calibers.
And in this, he wants to declare them surplus and allow them to be used.
Used as training aids.
They started a new
Yeah.
programmatic technology center. They got like 27 kids still left in.
I would, Mr. Chairman, I'd make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? Hear none, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Okay, the next one is on the electronic summons. He's requesting to transfer $2,317 to line items 3102-43320. And this is out of the money from the,
This is his jail processing fee that he charges each inmate, or each person's book down there. Put in a special account. He's asking that be transferred from the jail processing fee, that reserve account over to this maintenance, 3102, 43320. And that will cover the software for the live scan. That doesn't get into the live scan purchase. Just the software.
okay, I entertain a motion to amend and
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
have a second.
I'll second.
Have a motion to amend and appropriate $2,317. Any other questions or comments?
I got a question. You said that doesn't, I mean, do we have live scan stuff now? We're not buying a software program for something that we don't have, are we?
He's got money put together in the ordinance y'all created for the car stuff, where they can write their tickets. This is part of that piece.
Okay.
We may have a couple or three already installed.
But it is something we're, if we don't have them all, we are getting them.
Yes.
Okay.
Is this something that's required by criminal justice, or is this a need or a want?
Well, currently, the way we do everything is they write a ticket. This automatically processes it all in the car, so the telephone numbers are legible, the summons is legible, and it can be downloaded right to the court system.
So cut down paperwork and improve efficiency.
Well, I don't know about cutting out on paperwork, but proving efficiency. All they have to do is they swipe the driver's license. It fills all that information in on the summons. Then you have drop-down boxes just to click on what charge or what code it is for speeding or whatever. And then it prints it out. And then it downloads it. I think it even downloaded into the general district court system from their cars when they pull in.
Does that give a summons to the person that's getting the...
Yeah, I mean, it'll print out.
Just makes
and
it
they'll-
faster, Joe, so they can get back on the road and write more tickets.
Okay. Okay.
Did somebody make yeah, we made a motion. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Mr. Dalton, is there anything else we need
Just
to?
for information, the jail van is ready, raring, they've hired a person, we're gonna start picking up trash Thursday morning. They've got plenty of miles, plenty of bags to fill up.
I got another call from, the state, got still one of them anyways up at the top of the hill. She wants to pick up from Creek Bridge. No good. They go up Weaver, I think.
Mr. Dalton, have we informed VDOT that we're going to start back picking up trash? Will they be expected to pick up the trash bags in a timely manner?
Actually, I think a lot of those trash bags we've been picking up on the back of the trailer sometimes. But Donnie Cook, if we've got a bunch, when Mr. Jackson was done, he'd get miles and miles, but he contacted Donnie Cook where we're going to be. They'd have somebody come by and help with it. That's no good leaving the orange bags
No.
all spread back there.
Well, how do we feel about a little bit of direction that they start with the primary roads and work their way into the bush? That'd get 94 out of the way and 52 and 58. We don't have any
21.
58.
They picked up on
21.
94 from Siloam Church.
11.
And the new road.
So
Then it wasn't him, I think. it was
That's your
somebody else.
directions to start on the primary roads.
I think, yeah.
We got more vehicle miles there than up some of these side roads, and that was the intent to clean up the county. But
Primary roads, under the VDOT, include the FOF number roads, which are frontage.
yeah,
Okay. As long as everybody approves.
Is that agreeable with everyone? Okay. Is there anything else before we go into closed session? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors convene in closed meeting to discuss the following as permitted by Virginia Code 2.2, 3711A5, a matter involving a prospective new business, industry, or expansion of an existing business or industry.
Do I have a second for the motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are now in closed session. Yes.
Whereas the Wythe County Board of Supervisors has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and Whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors that such a meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies to the best of each member's knowledge only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in a closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the Wythe County Board of Supervisors.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Here none, I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. Okay. I entertain any motions.
I don't remember exactly how to say it. but,
Amend and appropriate.
Amend and appropriate $120,000 to JIDA for expansion. Is that what we're talking about?
Expansion contingent upon appropriate performance agreement.
Yes.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 Yeah.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any more motions?
$200,000 for second performance agreement.
Oh, for the, okay, amend and appropriate 200,000 for the other project for the, yes. Okay.
Have a second?
Second.
And that's also contingent upon.
Yes.
For some agreements.
I should have listened more.
Do we need to add to give authorization to sign all documents pertaining
I'll add that
to the
motion. I'll
performance
be glad to.
agreement?
Works for
Okay.
me. Works for my second.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Dr. Hausman?
Aye.
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 Yeah.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Does authorization need to be added on that first one also?
Yes.
I think I said that probably somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, should have.
Okay, Mr. Dalton, Lane Group.
If you just, we need to have a economic development meeting tomorrow and go through that.
Okay.
It's not exactly what we asked them to send us.
Is everybody on the Economic Development Committee can meet in the morning at 8?
No. We go 8:30.
8:30? Okay.
Sorry to be difficult.
You will be meeting at 8:30 in the morning.
Let me ask you a procedural question. We need to settle this thing down at Poplar Camp, one way or the other. I believe it to be economic development issue and not a budget issue. Can we deal with that in the morning?
Fine with me.
What on the,
Permits?
oh, yeah, that's fine. Y'all want to take care of that in
Yeah, I
the
mean, we
morning?
got builders involved here, not money people, you high finance people. I think we need, not just for this project, but to streamline if there is a hitch. And if that double billing of a permit is something that goes back to former boards, I'd like to know the history of why it's that way. It's not that way on residential, on revisits. And the footprint don't change once you've done a spec building.
It is on, if you change in residential to commercial,
Oh, okay, I agree.
once you change use, if it's just a residential adding the deck, you're exactly right. But if you're changing use, and I think that's what the issue is with this.
But if you had a house and like any of those beautiful houses back there or buildings, and you decided to build apartments in it, I can understand that there's a workload involved for the building department. But if you've done a spec building, the architectural fit out inside don't mean you have to do the structure, you don't have to do the site again. So it looks like to me the workload diminishes.
Well, there's no footer inspections, plumbing under the floor inspections and all that.
But the fee stays the same.
Currently, that's what it is.
Well, that's the whole issue with me. It seems like that maybe, I don't know how old the ordinance is or when you passed those.
It's not ordinance, it's a fee structure basis thing.
But it's been that way a long time.
See, we visited that one time and set a $50, you know, if he comes and inspects, and okay, he has to come back and inspect that, change.
Inspection fee.
But if it ain't right, and he has to come back a third time, there's a $50 charge.
Well, I understand that and I agree with it because you got effort involved and cost to the county. But spec buildings are a bit different in that a lot of times you can't even rent a spec building. And so how long ago did we, and I wish we still had them, that you could build a spec building to try to attract the industry. And a spec building is built to some standards approved by the building authority. But then to go back when you get a tenant and say you owe the same fee again because you've now landed a tenant, I just don't understand that concept. You haven't changed the footprint of the building.
I don't remember us doing that. That may have been done. I know we changed the fees and added the $50, but I don't remember if we actually did. We didn't do that.
No, that fee was $10, wasn't it? And that was ridiculous for a revisit.
I don't think we had a reason.
You didn't. It wasn't anything.
It wasn't any.
We raised the minimum on the 35 to 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, we raised the minimum fee and then the revisit fee. And we added the site inspection fee for erosion sound control. So we'll talk about it more.
All right.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I think it's significance. Mr. Hale and I visited VDOT yesterday, and he can give a report, or I can.
Please tell them I behaved well.
You did pretty good, Joe.
My nerves just couldn't hardly stand it, but I did.
He chewed most of the inside of his jaw off, and he did pretty good. The most significant thing, we asked for a paving schedule. We have a little conflict. This summer, in Wythe County, there's going to be 29.24 miles of plant mix put down in Wythe County. And they're going to slurry seal 18 miles of additional roads. Slurry 18.09.
Define slurry seal.
Slurry seal is, they come along on the road and put this, I'm gonna call it lime chemical mix down on top with the asphalt. It's sort of like putting pine tar on the road and making it black to seal all the cracks. So that extends the life, and it's just a small percentage of cost of plant mix
And all this is on
in Wythe County.
existing hardtop roads.
Yes.
Did they give you the routes that they were?
I do have the route. I'll send that email out to you so you can figure it out, but I've been looking at the road map this afternoon.
Does it give the mileage on each route that
It
they're
does,
doing?
94, 21, just, it's amazing to me of all the secondary roads that are gonna get plant mix on.
It's a good thing.
So, and on the interstate, there's, it's just right. About 9 miles of double lane interstate.
I know one thing they need to look at is repairing that bridge over Reed Creek.
Say that again.
I've never seen a bridge get that bad a shape and them not do anything about it.
So we also talked about the bridge on Millers Creek. We'll shortly be having a 6-year road plan. Here, don't get disturbed because 2020 is the last year there's any 6-year road plan money. So year 2021, 22, you're going to get zero. Current. That's what it's going to show. So you can't add, you're going to have a public hearing for a 6-year plan that you can't add any road.
But that may change. They may put some money into it at a later date.
At a later date, they may. Hold my breath. Because what they indicated to us out there is they're concentrated on making roads in a good state of repair, I think is the word we use.
Yeah, it's a pretty broad statement.
And, so we went through that. We also talked a little bit about House Bill 2. Stephen and I went to the House Bill 2 meeting this morning. You guys will be shortly, we're going to present a list of potential projects. I'll just tell you what we talked about today. Currently, Stephen and Bill did a great job with their application. We have now moved into the funded section on the auxiliary lane down at exit 81 or from 77 coming north, which is a big lot of money. The second thing we talked about, and what I said was the primary next House Bill 2, is to fix the southeastern quadrant that goes into the Expo Center on that ramp and Ready Mix Road. That would be our next House Bill 2 project. It probably gets a lot of points because it's economic development, safety problem. It just meets all the criteria. The second one portion of that was trying to do a House Bill 2 application where we get out of having to pay so much money on building the Progress Park interconnector that they would fund that. The third project was roll over the lane climbing thing that they have down at exit coming up on 77 north. Their interchange with 81. So they've also sort of promised us today they're going to find some study money to look at exit 41 and some other things. I think we did about as well as we could down there today. But if y'all don't disagree with those, tell us now so I can run or hide it in the desk before you start throwing stuff. But it's paramount for us to move forward that Expo Center, get that road up to the Expo Center in state hands, and improve that interchange.
Did you say that was funded?
No, I didn't say that was funded.
Okay.
I said that's the first 5 years or this, or 6 years of the plan are funded. The auxiliary lane on 77 time index, exit 81 over to exit 80 is funded. These next applications, you will see, if it gets funded in 6 years, you will see it built.
And one of the things is, $6,000 or whatever, not anywhere close to as large as money as it was in that first pot. And one of the lessons county gives you a higher score. If we put the entire exit 77 in there, you're not gonna score high. You've gotta bite them off in chunks to score high in the process.
Well, and we'll get benefit.
Yeah.
If we fix that south end, the north end is really not the problem. I'd like to comment on our visit. I was impressed with the new district engineer. I think that at the ending there, he said something that was beneficial. He wanted to visit Wythe County in person and look at some of these projects that we've been having problems with. And I think that's a good thing. He also maybe really overdid it a little bit, but they kept using the common sense word. And that's sort of a new word for them. But they said it more than once, that they wanted to take a common sense approach to solutions.
Is he coming to look at Pope Road?
I'm sure that would be added to his agenda. Mr. Cox could serve lunch.
Hey, they've been over there doing something. I don't know.
Well, one thing, just for, if we do the right thing, Mr. Russell had a lot of answers that he's never shared with us. Wouldn't you agree? He had an answer for everything, and they were mostly good answers. That with that same money you're getting out at Rural Retreat, that found money that they're doing the muster extension with,
Okay.
they're gonna look at if they can fund all of Major Grimm that way.
Because there's festivals.
Well, not only the festival of commerce. I mean, pumpkins are great.
Yeah.
And they create a lot of traffic, but it's period traffic. And the festivals, I don't know, I think Mr. Dalton told me that they declared they had, was the number 40,000? If they had 40,000 people down there that have visited Wythe County, it's a commercial thing. That's not a rural road anymore. And if they had 40,000 people down there, how do we have a 100-car count? They're flying in on brooms, and we need to have air traffic control. You can't get there. I mean, do the math. And 60 loads of pumpkins times 2 during what, October and November is their harvest period. That's 120. And if the counter's counting cars, trucks, and trailers, it even goes up more than that. It's still an old pneumatic counter, isn't it?
No, the new ones are actually gonna electronic signal and send that up.
Okay. You
But
know,
what they did agree also, Joe, was that we could designate a time in November or October to put those counters out there, which would drive road count way up. It's all about.
But, you know, I'm glad for them to do that at Retreat, but the part of that road that is used is already hard surfaced, I think.
but
Yeah.
it was the only one that qualified under their formula.
Yeah.
But
After, you know, I think both people that live back there will appreciate it.
well,
They go in and out a lot every day.
you know, Gary, ideally, if we had time, which we don't have, I was amazed at the significant investment off of that Beetle Spin Road. And that's a private road for what, 4 miles, Soleil?
It's a long way
It
back.
seems like much further.
Where's that?
It's in your district.
I saw it.
It-
4 miles long.
And
Where-
the economic value to the county for taxation is amazing for
On the lower end of the
what's
county?
happened down there.
Okay.
How many more years will they be able to plant
You're not gonna be able
pumpkins
to
down
explain
there?
it to me.
They can't plant them, but what, 2 more years?
Well, I've heard rumors that there's gonna be a lot more sweet corn this year. Now, they had about 400 acres. Wasn't it about 400 acres in those bottoms in sweet corn last year?
I don't know, Joe.
They don't necessarily quit renting the land, they just have to change
Yeah, that's what I'm
crops.
saying. Bless you.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anything else we need to discuss? What was you
Okay,
saying about
somebody need a
Heartwood?
second.
That the legislature funded it, prepared to, or whatever the correct word
I
is.
told you that's what would happen.
Yeah, but I didn't believe it, they would really go that far.
I told you that would happen.
Every time I see that building, I need a shot of Pepto-Bismol. I get queasy.
Well, how much did they fund it? How much are they giving to Heartwood a year?
I'm sure it's enough to pay all those directors' salaries.
It's 800 or 900,000.
I asked Mr. Dalton what A&E firm designed that monstrosity. They ought to get the Ugly Building Award. And then there's a thing called art and architecture in Virginia. They can't fund any project, but they can kill any project. And it went through that process and passed. That's what's amazing.
I knew as much money as they poured into it that they wouldn't let the doors close. If there's nothing else, any board member have anything they'd like to bring up? Hearing none,
I guess the question, when we left the budget hearing the other day, we set aside all the sheriff's budgets and never did get back to them.
yeah.
And I did not meet their budget deadlines of sending it out to you on Friday. Some significant things have happened that the school board is, or the superintendent has come back with almost a flat funding discussion with me.
Would you like for us to recess and come back in a work session?
Well, I think, unless you're just gonna say for me to do it, but it appears to me that the school system, we'd give it, after the discussion with superintendent, it appears that we can take that pretty close back to flat funding for operation from last year. What I did promise is they claim they've saved north of $400,000 in this year's budget. And what I told them is that we would support, or I would support, the re-roofing of the technology center and take that out of next year's budget, which is part of that. And they can find enough money for a bus in this year's budget.
It's amazing where money comes from, how they can just find money.
Well, I think I've told you guys, if I have a $40 million budget, I can find making bucks. There ain't no doubt about it. So, but I guess that's not the number that we stuck in the budget the other day when we were talking here. So I guess the question is, do you want me to draft one up instead of coming back and just send it all to you? And then you come back and talk about it? Because it's really not a balanced budget. It's getting closer.
Are you talking about coming back before the day meeting?
Oh, yeah, sometime.
So, the day meeting is on the 26th. No, yeah. The 26th. You talking about coming back the week of the 18th? Next week sometime? The 18th? Or
Is that a Wednesday?
that's a Monday. 20th is on Wednesday.
How about a Wednesday?
Okay. So we'll recess until 9 a.m.
So I'm gonna, I guess, get it right. I'm gonna mark these all up and send them to you. And then we'll just talk about the markups when you get here. Okay?
In your vision, how close to to level funding? Are we within 10% or are we within 50%? Yeah.
$13 million, we're within 1% and 2%.
Okay, I've got one more question for all of our benefit, mine being a memory thing. But if you went back to when the three of us, Artie, you and I come on the board, which now is approaching 5 years, right? If you took those years, how hard is it to say what additional funding steps took each year? In other words, how much?
I can take it back to 1995 if you.
I mean, that I think would be an eye-opener, and the general public that beats on us about taxes don't realize that every time you pass that, it's not a one-time deal. You've gone up that much, and next year there's going to be more, and that snowball just keeps getting bigger. And sometime, there comes a time you got to curtail that snowball, or at least slow it down. But if we saw the real numbers, you got an idea of what they are, I'm sure. But it's a great big number.
You're talking about the increase each year?
Yeah.
Multiplied by,
Years.
yeah.
It's not a one-time deal. When people see that budget in the paper, they think it's one time and done. But it's not really one time and done. You bought into that one.
We started, I mean, I've been on the board. Going on, what is, 7 years, yeah. And we've raised it, I guess, every year, since then. And you said that you've been on about 5 years. I could have swore it's 15, but.
You remember Eddie Hagee, I'm all right.
But yeah, we have done. Well, what, does that make, I mean, flat funding, are we talking about about $700,000 difference, or what, is that what we had plugged in?
Well, they asked for almost 800,000 or something like that, extra.
Okay, I was thinking
We
of
plugged
700.
in.
We did, we had 774 or something like that in that
Additional.
model, yeah.
All right, so that would be taken as,
Let me work on it 17.
okay.
So you're saying that they can come up with the 2% for the non-SOQ teachers and the $32 insurance too?
Maybe we ought to check the technology school for a printing press. Tim, did you set a time for?
Gene, what kind? 9:30?
If you want to start at 9, that's fine. I mean, if everything goes all right, I can be here at 9. If not, I'll be here by 9:15. So, I mean, y'all go ahead and start at 9.
Okay. Well, we'll recess until
That's all right.
April the 20th at 9 a.m.